Woo! And that is some dry, hard locust.
Sorry.
I was just calling it a day.
Yeah.
But, you know, my thought on this guy originally was to take that off.
Yeah.
We want to come across and take it out here. And we want to go that way. Somewhere like that. But obviously, that's got to come off. Well, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Cut it up and get it down to a manageable, and then split it. Lay the 2x6 across. All right, first cut done. Yeah, isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful. Yeah, that's pretty. Kind of hard to show it off in this light, but
Wow. Yeah, that's gorgeous.
yeah. That's big money wood right there. That is gorgeous. Yeah, look at that. That's some serious nice figure in there. Ooh, man. Oh man, how about that spalted maple? Is that stuff gorgeous or what? Welcome back to the channel, folks. This is Eric, the old Jarhead, and you're watching the old Jarhead Sawdust Roadshow. Many times I've had customers tell me that they were told a log was too big, that the sawyer couldn't mill that log. And I guess maybe I'm just a dumb Jarhead. But I just think, well, if it's too big for the mill, why don't we split it? And so that's what you saw in the beginning here. This log measured about 43 inches at the small end and 56 inches across that big, huge, massive, gnarly crotch, which really was, I mean, you know, wasn't just one crotch. But, you know, that's huge. That's massive. There's no way you can put that on this mill and mill it down. And sure, there are other mills that can do it, but they're very expensive, very big, and you can't move them. So we get the chainsaw out, we quarter it up. And now that we have it quartered, it's time to break it down into the lumber that the customer wants. And in this case, it's going to be 2 and 3 inch slabs. But, you know, the one thing about doing some chainsaw milling like that, or, you know, I've seen some guys use wedges to split logs like this. The one thing about that is you don't get a nice, smooth, flat edge. And so one of the things you're going to see in this video, aside from me showing you some more of that gorgeous grain, is I'm going to have to flatten these sides in order to get it positioned right on the mill. Once I get it flattened up and I've got a couple edges to work with, then we can just slab it down and away you go. But the chainsaw is not going to produce the kind of nice, smooth, flat edge that we need. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run through it, get some edges cut, get it nice and flat, and then knock it down to the deck and get the next one up. The other thing you're going to see is that sometimes these are actually kind of difficult to load. Even with a tractor, you still got to try to flip them up and get them up on the deck, and it can be a little bit of a challenge. So you might see me fight with it a little bit, and actually at one point we're going to have to spin a log 180 degrees. That is not something you want to do on a sawmill, but it happens sometimes. You know, sometimes you just got to think outside the box. So number one Just because somebody says a log is too big for their sawmill doesn't mean you can't get it sawn up anyway. And this is not the first big log I've done, and it ain't gonna be the last. So let's get it done. Let's get this log milled up. Look at this. Is this gorgeous or what? This is amazing stuff. And I know you got a little sneak peek earlier when we were cutting it with the chainsaw. Now it's a little flatter. We get some water on it. How pretty is that? Holy cow, I'd love to have some of this. You know, that's one of the disadvantages of running a sawmill for other people is you don't get to take this home. I actually could see buying logs like this and milling them up just for myself, for my own projects. And I've got too many projects already. But look at that. It's unbelievably gorgeous stuff. And I know back east, you guys get that kind of stuff all the time. But out here, I don't see it very often. Look at the scenery here, folks. Yep, got that old 1893 house right there and a whole lot of fields and not a whole lot of hardwoods. And up in the hills, guess what? It's not hardwoods, it's all softwoods. So I don't get to see this kind of cool stuff very often. I don't get to mill it. I mill fir and pine and spruce mostly. So when I do get to do one of these, man, is it ever so awesome. Now you see that real rough edge right there. That's just what happens when you're running a chainsaw to split it. And I was only running a 28-inch bar, and the slabber takes up a little bit of that. And the slabber has to be 6 inches from the head of the saw, so you're down to a 20-inch cut. And when you're trying to cut something that's 43 to 56 inches, 20 inches doesn't work very well. So, you know, you take the slabber off, you jam her down in there, you try to cut some more of it off, and eventually you get a big tank bar and some wedges in there and force it to break apart. And that gives you those kind of rough edges. And so one of the things you see me doing here really is trying to cut that edge flat and then get another flat edge so that I at least have two 90s that I've got for the customer, so that once I slab it down and send it on its way, he'll be able to put it on his bandsaw and break it down further. So let's get this one off the deck so we can get another one up there. think what we're going to have to do is probably lift it, and then I'll have to clamp. So what we want to do is try to extend up somehow. Probably need that big cant hook. So what I want to do is I want to lift that. It's up as high up as we can get it. Let's try from right here. If we come in here, like this, then I can push it up into the stops, nice and flat. All right, got that one up. Had to kind of wedge it up a little bit so I could clamp it and get a reasonably flat area to work with. I don't want to take too much off one end or the other. I'm trying to preserve as much lumber as possible out of this. So that's why we kind of jacked it up like that on one end. Now we're going to have to do something pretty crazy here. We basically put it on the log clamp so we had a nice pivot point, and then just spun it around. And that way we were able to get that nice smooth edge that I'd already cut up against the side supports, so I could take the top off, get a nice 90-degree face, which is all we really needed because he's got his own equipment to break it down further. And now we can start slabbing it down the rest of the way. Oh boy. Last cuts. Here we go, folks. There's just something about cutting this kind of wood, maybe because I just don't do it very often. You know, I love pine, I love fir, but man, when you get into some beautiful black walnut or black locust or like this spalted maple, holy cow, is it ever gorgeous. And I got another big spalted maple to do real soon too. So there you have it. Amazing stuff. This video spanned 3 days. Some of it was the very first day where I took some cuts off and worked that log down. The next is when I quartered it, and finally on the last day is when I finally milled it all down, just kind of the way it goes. But look at that monster. Can you get that on your mill? Sure you can, and this is what you get when you do. Isn't that amazing stuff? Man, I'd love to have some. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. I really appreciate your being here. Do me a favor, smash that like button for me. Hit that subscribe. Hey, it's free, right? I appreciate it. Stick around. I got more to come. Thanks for watching, folks. Y'all have a great day. The Old Jarhead out.